Hey, JJ, when you look at a team like Minnesota, they're just a lot different from the team that you played in December. Obviously, you're playing different too, but no Gobert, no Randall, maybe more of an open floor or space for Ant to attack. How does that impact like the way that you want to play defensively for like a one game plan relative to what you always want to do as a defense?
Small adjustments, but certainly you have to think about your Anthony Edwards coverage. But they have a number of guys that are playing really well right now. McDaniels, Alexander Walker, Naz Reid. All three of those guys playing at a really high level offensively. Obviously, McDaniels and Alexander Walker as well on the defensive end. We have to be smart with how we want to guard him, knowing that they have a ton of shooting on the floor, and they also have a bunch of young guys right now, like Shannon and Clark, and they just play really hard. And Clark in particular is another disruptive defender. So lots to worry about tonight. Very, very rare you don't go into a game worrying about a lot of stuff, and tonight's no different.
How much have you enjoyed kind of the defensive connectivity and the energy and the effort and where, like, how do you feel like you want to almost put that in a box and keep it and like so that it's sustainable?
Yeah, the hope is that defense that we played now for 19 games, and we saw flashes of it at different points early in the season. I told the guys early on a number of times, you told on yourselves. I've seen you do it, so the expectation is that you're going to do it every night. I like our consistency right now. Even just rewatching the Mavs stuff, it was a weird game. They junked it up a lot. We didn't have like a great flow to it. Then you rewatch it, and you realize the effort level of our guys was really high. Our connectedness on the defensive end was really high. And like I told you guys the other night, those last 5.5 minutes with our group just flying around, covering for each other, making extra efforts was awesome.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, it was about a little over a month ago after the first Clippers game at Intuit, where you mentioned that you guys didn't necessarily have someone who could always draw two to the ball.
Yeah.
Now you very much have that guy. And Luka, is there, because you mentioned the spacing always being there the last game, is there an adjustment period just in terms of the other four players on the court, the other guys knowing just how to maintain that spacing, knowing how to play off of a guy who will draw those blitzes or those doubles, and just maintaining the principles in a different way that they may not have been used to the first 50 or 55 games before Luka was integrated?
Yeah, I felt like we had a really good rhythm against switching teams offensively prior to Luka taking the floor, and then we played a lot of games. I can think of 4 off the top of my head. Denver played coverage. I think the other 4 games they switched everything. So we got to get back to our discipline with our versus switches. I don't think the adjustment when we're in normal offense and just playing out of angle pick and rolls and 77s and all that stuff. I think that's pretty straightforward. I think it's more just figuring out how to play against switching defenses that will be in a little bit of an adjustment.
Dave,
is there any way to quantify the effect of having an additional playmaker in Luka? The way that will perhaps keep a guy like LeBron or even Austin fresher as the game goes on, because the 3 of those guys don't necessarily have to shoulder that responsibility for all 48 minutes.
Yeah, I think the biggest effect of that is with Austin, because of how much ball handling he had to do. And it wasn't even just the shot creation part for himself and others. It was literally just getting the ball across half court. He was in the lineup a lot of times without a ball handler. And now, I think in 5 games, like I think there's been one scenario where we're in an ATO and I'm like, all right, let's do this, and well, we only have one ball handler out there. Like we typically, because of now, with Gabe, Austin, Luka, sometimes Goody even, we have 4 guys that can do it, and that's what we try to do all year with LeBron, is not tax him with just bringing the ball up. We want him obviously to have the basketball, but in his spots and in the half court.
JJ, a little off topic here, but what kind of support and leadership has Jeannie shown you so far during her first year here?
Incredible support, to be honest with you. There have been a few scenarios where I've gone to her for things, sometimes for console and sometimes for action, and she has responded well every time. And I think too, just going through what we just went through with the Luka trade, like that requires a lot. Again, because AD in particular was just such a vital piece of this franchise and helped us win a them. They were them back then, but they helped the Lakers win a championship back in 2020. So she's been awesome, and the biggest thing is Rob, myself, Jeannie, in the interview process and in the very early days this past summer, it was all about creating alignment and cohesiveness between those two people, and we've done that.
Sorry if this was asked Tuesday night, but is there a sense of relief, not just for Luka, but for you and these guys, that game has now passed the emotional aspect of it, and you guys can move forward and just continue to build with Luka and these guys?
Yes, very much so. I don't know how else to answer that question, but yes, I'm glad the game's over and we can sort of move on from that.
What's pleased you most about how Reaves has picked his spots while playing off of LeBron?
Yeah, I think Austin's one of the more intelligent players in the NBA, and certainly one of the more intelligent guys on our team. And he's been asked to do a number of different things throughout his career. Even though it's a short career, he's played a number of roles, and he's had a number of scenarios where he's been coming off the bench. He's been an off-ball player, he's been an on-ball player, he's been the primary ball handler, he's been the secondary ball handler, and he just, no matter what situation you put him in, he just kind of figures it out. We're obviously trying to provide the three of those guys in particular as much guidance as possible, so that this can all work at a very high level. But I know you guys have heard me sing his praises all year. I've been so impressed with Austin. Came into this thinking he was really good, and he's fantastic.
Coach, over the past 3 games, Luka and LeBron have been the top 2 rebounders on the team. How much have you stressed to them to be aggressive on the glass, and do you expect that to be the path forward for success as them as your top 2 rebounders?
I mean, I stress to the group the need for game rebounding, but I don't need to stress. I mean, those are 2 of the best wing rebounders in NBA history, so there's not much I need to do there. But I think just for the group, recognizing that our collective effort on the defensive glass can overcome a lot of our height. But I don't look at any of our lineups really as like small ball or short ball. We got big players and strong players, so I'm not surprised that our defensive rebounding percentage is up.
Hey JJ, for so long LeBron and AD were considered the superstar duo of the team. And just recently, after you guys got Luka, the Lakers are being presented as a big 3: LeBron, Luka, and Austin. When did Austin get elevated into that superstar level with those guys?
You'll have to ask Twitter on that one. I mean, Austin's amazing, but Luka's 5-time first-team All-NBA. LeBron's one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT. I mean, there's definitely tiers to this, and everybody for the last, since the Celtics, with Ray Allen and Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, is very quick to label a big 3. If Austin is a big 3, great. We have yet to talk about that. So,
Hey, Coach, just what can you say about the job that Dorian Finney-Smith and Vandal has done, just to kind of help just bring that energy to their guys that don't get plays called for them on offense, but just defensively they're everywhere. Just can you talk about like their impact so far?
I called a couple plays for Vandal. He hasn't scored on them. So, no, look, both those guys, they're professional defenders, and they're professional disruptors, and they're professional effort guys. They go out there with the intent of winning a basketball game and nothing else, and they do what's required to win a basketball game. And those are the guys you love having on your team.
Last one more.
Coach, you mentioned that the guys have kind of told on themselves in terms of their defensive effort. How have you seen Rui take a step forward on the defensive end in the last few games?
I don't think it's just the last few games. I mean, we've watched, 50 whatever it is now, 56 games of him. He's made improvements throughout the season. There's been a number of times we're on a flight or we're in the coach's conference room and we're watching film and we're like, look at Rui, look what he's doing, look at this, and he's really been solid. And the one thing we've tried to do with him is just simplify the coverage board with him. He's a red, like he's in every switching group, so it keeps it easy. Then off ball, he really is. He's really gotten good with understanding our shifts, our low man, all the stuff we're trying to do.
Thanks, Coach.